there, I'm Angie Carpenter, Town of Islip Supervisor, and welcome to this edition of Supervisor Spotlight. And I am so thrilled today to be welcoming two supervisors on either side of me, sitting here now on either side of me, and the towns are on either side of the town of Islip. Supervisor from the town of Babylon, Rich Schaffer, and from the town of Brookhaven, Ed Romaine. And these gentlemen have been doing this a long time, have been involved in government a long time, have brought a tremendous amount of experience to their roles as supervisor, having had other roles, and I think that really helped. I know it helped me, having been in the legislature, having been the county's treasurer, to now come run a town and understand working with the various levels of government and how all of that interacts. So Rich, tell us a little bit about your background, and we'll get into some of the other issues that we face as supervisors, but let's give the audience a little opportunity to know a little bit about Rich.
And I want to thank you for inviting me and Ed to participate today. I think it's great that we get this kind of information out to the members of the public. I'm on my second tour of duty as town supervisor. As I say to our residents, I served as supervisor from 1992 to 2001. Left there, took a 10-year hiatus, and came back when Steve Ballone was elected county executive in 2011, and took over from there. I was only going to stay at 1 year. That was the plan.
Oh, geez.
And Superstorm Sandy hit, and at the end of 2012. And once that hit, I knew we were in for a 5 to 7 year rebuild. Homes south of Montauk Highway, about 3,000 homes were devastated. And so I've since run for re-election, and my last re-election was 2021. And it's a job I've always aspired to. I've never wanted to go further than town local government, because I think it's got the best way to have the biggest impact on the quality of life in the community. And so I thoroughly enjoy working with both of you and our other colleagues in the Supervisors Association. I think we've really got a good group that has worked in tandem, especially during COVID. We were on the phone or on Zoom every day, making sure that we were, because COVID knew no boundaries, making sure that our residents were served well, and I enjoy working with both of you.
And trying to get some money.
And trying to get some money.
Well, that was not easy. But, you know, and I'm glad you mentioned the fact that you had that hiatus, because it gave you an opportunity to be in the private sector. And I really, really believe that having been in the private sector makes a difference when you're in government. You really understand how it all comes together, because too often we have elected officials that start out young, they grow up in government, and they really don't have an understanding of what it's really like to be out there in the real world.
Yeah, how to make a payroll.
How to make a payroll.
Pay bills.
You know, I ran a business, I understand.
Sure.
You know, it's tough. It's tough. And I know that you had a real history in the private sector, history teacher. So you bring that whole understanding of education and how that all works to your role as the supervisor. So Ed, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And thanks for having Rich here. Rich is the chairman of our Supervisors Association, and we look for him for guidance because he is someone that is truly interested in good outcomes from local government, and he works with all of our supervisors to see that, and I so appreciate his leadership in that role, as I appreciate the town of Islip, which is one of our larger towns in Suffolk County that you've run very well. I know you did a great job as a legislator and as a treasurer, so it's a pleasure to be here. I started in government. I was a teacher for 12 years, and then I became Brookhaven's first Director of Community Development and did that for 5 years. I moved on to the legislature. I got there 2 years before Rich did, and served 2 terms, and then I went on to be elected county clerk and served 5 terms as county clerk. I went back to the legislature, served 4 more terms. And
second tour of duty.
Second tour of duty, 16 years in between, because for 16 years I was county clerk. And then I was asked to run for Brookhaven supervisor. It's something that I never thought I would do, because I had been asked in the past and I had turned them down. But I had a son that served as a councilman, and I knew if he had lived, he unfortunately passed away, he would always be wanted to be supervisor. So I said,
That's
okay.
beautiful. A
And
family
I've,
thing.
s-
That's
I-
great.
I've got elected. The people of Brookhaven have been very kind to me. They've elected me 5 times as supervisor. And then currently I was planning to run again, but I got tapped on the shoulder and said, why don't you run for county exec? Because Steve Malone is term limited and my
Yep,
party
it's an
needed
open
a
seat.
candidate. And
It's
I
an
said,
open seat.
okay,
Yeah.
why not?
That's it.
Well, that should be interesting. Again, I feel very strongly that, and people need to be educated when they go to the polls, and we don't want this to be political, please.
No.
But we need to look at things for what they are. Running a county, running a town is so important. That is not something for on-the-job training. This is something for experience, steady hand, making decisions that are going to affect people. Local government has the most impact on people's everyday lives. There's such a focus on the presidential election, but really, does it really matter all
And
that
the
much?
participation, people waiting on lines to vote for president, and I tell them all the time that when it comes down to it, it's the local officials, whether they be on the village or town or county level, have the direct impact
Exactly.
on how the garbage gets picked up, how your parks look, what is the economic development activity, and that's why these we call them off-year
Year
elections,
elections.
are so important for people to pay attention to. I do something when I go, speaking of schools, I go into a school and I say, do any of you know the town board members? No. I said, well, one of them proposed a curfew of 8 p.m. every night. You have to be in your house, and they all go crazy. And I said, well, you don't know who any of them are, so why should they care about what you think? And immediately they start looking on their phones to try and Google who
Yep,
the council
yep,
people
yep,
are
yep.
and try and figure out who's doing that. But I use it as a way to kind of get them to say, hey, go home tonight and talk to your parents, see if they know who the elected officials are, who they would reach out to if they had a concern in the neighborhood. And you and I, the three of us, go through that all the time.
All the time,
Right,
all the
and
time.
We have that, but to a lesser extent because Brookhaven, because it's so large, it's geographically the largest town in the state. We've broken the town up into 6 councilmatic districts, so there's more likelihood that their councilman has been to a lot of the local events, because most councilmen don't go outside their district.
Right.
They stay in their district, they get to know, and they have a working relationship, and particularly if they've been in office for a while, people get to know who their council person is. And I think that's a very healthy thing. It may not be for every town, but for Brookhaven, the councilmatic districts work because we're small enough where it's not overwhelming.
Right.
So each council district is about 85,000 people.
So
Almost-
that's kind of
almost
like
like
the
a legislative
legislature.
district.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Very similar.
So let us talk a little bit about what's going on in the towns. It's a busy time of the year with getting ready for the summertime and parks opening and all of the programs putting in place for the summer. So, Rich, what's going on in Babylon?
Yeah, no, I think we've got a lot of great activities. One is the Wounded Warrior Bike Ride.
Yes.
July 14th, we're so lucky to have the support of the town of Islip. It runs from our town hall 25 miles down to Cedar Overlook Beach. We raise about $100,000 a year for the Wounded Warrior Project program, and half of that money stays on Long Island and goes directly to our veterans. Jackie Gordon, who used to be our town council member, a retired lieutenant colonel, started the activities, and Dwayne Gregory, who is our councilman now, also retired from the U.S. Army.
Great.
Veteran, he handles that. So, and we always meet up with you at St. John's High School.
Yep.
And Good Samaritan. Good Samaritan supports us tremendously, as does South Shore, the old
University.
South
Yep.
Side
Yep.
Hospital.
Yep.
So we're looking forward to that. We've also got
So I'm going to interrupt a moment, and we're going to take a little break and come back with more of Supervisor Spotlight.
You are watching ITV, Channel 18, Islip Television.
Hi, this is Angie Carpenter. Welcome back to Supervisor Spotlight. I am really delighted to be able to tell you that we have two wonderful guests today, Ed Romaine, who is the supervisor of the town of Brookhaven, and Rich Schaffer, the supervisor of the town of Avalon. So Rich was telling us a little bit about the Wounded Warrior Project, been going on a number of years that the town of Avalon has hosted, comes into the town of Islip. So it's a little bit of a joint effort, but I have to tell you, anyone who hasn't been there, go or stand by the side of the road and cheer when these guys go by to see someone, you know, who's missing a limb, you know,
Yeah, these are service
participating.
veterans from the United States as well as Great Britain, Israel, a number of countries that participate, and all the money again goes to helping those veterans who've been injured in order to get themselves back into productive lives.
Right. It's a great, great initiative. So Ed, tell us about some of the things going on in Brookhaven.
Well, I'll pick up on the Wounded Warrior. We just had a run in Rocky Point, sponsored by the Veterans of Foreign Wars, for the Dwyer Project.
Oh, right.
Yep.
And we are going to have a huge meeting for all veterans at Camp Paquatuck, where I live in Santa Mauritius, this coming Saturday. And I have gone to all of those. And it's a full day for veterans to come down, and there's all these tents where they can get all the services that they need. So that's good.
That's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think it's a fabulous program. But our parks are booming. Brookhaven is building more parks. We're building more recreation centers. One of my towns, Santa Mauritius, we took over the old Knights of Columbus, renovated the whole building, and running numerous programs out of there, and then built a field. These fields are at least $1 million.
A field,
turf
yes.
fields.
A field.
Yep, they're expensive.
And it is
Yep.
constantly used. But more importantly, we're building a huge complex in Selden, right off Boyle Road, and it is going to be an 8 or 9 field super field.
Wow.
And half of the fields are built, and we're continuing to build them. We have a field like that in Mauritius where we have 4 baseball fields, basketball courts, playgrounds. We're looking to enhance all of our parks. Some of our most popular parks happen to be beaches. West Meadow Beach in Stony Brook is a beautiful, huge location right on the Sound. Just as Cedar Beach is in Mount Sinai, Corey Beach is in Blue Point. We have Shirley Beach, where we have a sprinkle park. We're investing in our parks because we find that people, particularly after COVID and during COVID,
Yes.
wanted to stay local.
Right.
And we made major investments and shifted our capital program to build a lot more local parks where people can enjoy things. So that has taken place all over Brookhaven town. It is something that when it's finished, we'll have probably the most fields of any town in the state of New York.
That's really tremendous. And it's important for the towns to do that because unlike Nassau County, Suffolk County really does not have a park system to speak of.
Right.
You know, I know in the town of Islip, we have between our major regional parks, we've got the pocket parks or the neighborhood parks, and have nearly 100 parks that we take care of.
Yeah,
And-
people rely on the local town parks,
Yes.
as Ed was mentioning, and that goes for beaches as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got some great beaches out at Cedar and Overlook Beach. We've got the Salt Shack, which has entertainment going year-round. These are the guys out of Patchogue Village who own a bunch of the restaurants who run the Salt Shack for us and provide great opportunities for people to just take a nice summer night, go down and create what they call staycations.
Yes.
Where
Right.
people aren't having to worry about getting out of town. One, during COVID, obviously they
Right.
couldn't. And two, post-COVID, it's now great to have this all at your fingertips right here. And the parks, the spray parks, are a vital part of having mom and dad
Absolutely.
being able to keep the kids
Absolutely,
busy during
absolutely.
the day. And the jobs that it creates for all of the young people.
You know, I want to you said spray parks. I want to tell you that you don't realize how important those are because I was talking to someone the other evening and mentioned the spray park. We have a brand new spray park at Clemente Park in Brentwood, thanks to a grant that we received from Assemblyman Ramos. It is absolutely gorgeous. And this woman said, well, I don't have little kids, but my son is autistic. And he really can't go in the big pool, and
Right.
he will absolutely love that. And, you know, we've been trying to do more of those spray pads too, even for adults. You know, with the spray pad, I saw it down in Florida at off the beach.
The seniors love it.
The seniors
Yeah,
love it.
absolutely.
To just kind of walk through there or put their lawn chair right there next to the spray. So, these are the kinds of things that we're doing. But I don't want to get controversial, but you said something, Rich, that I want to talk about. Staycations.
Mm-hmm.
We are providing these incredible parks and places for people to go, maintaining our beaches on the South Shore. You have Cedar, we have Islip Beach, West Islip Beach, the Bayshore Marina where the ferries are going in and out of. It costs a lot to maintain these facilities and provide a venue for people to stay here, vacation here, and yet we don't get any of the resources that are generated by the taxes, either sales tax or the hotel motel tax. And I know that the legislature voted recently, the Suffolk County legislature voted recently to increase the amount of money they're collecting from the hotel motel tax. And I know when I was in the legislature, I supported that. I supported the increase, the modest increase, because let's face it, when someone comes and books a hotel room, they don't ever say, wait a minute, let me see what the hotel tax is. How much is it for the county and the town or whatever? They don't.
Right.
Whatever the hotel room is, if you can afford it, you take it, you get a different one, you go to a different hotel, whatever. But I feel very strongly, as we maintain the infrastructure, we maintain the parks and the beaches,
No, and I know you.
we should be getting a portion
You
of
brought
that.
this up, and I know Ed has spoken about it as well. And Ed mentioned before about
The
the cooperative,
association, yes.
right? About the cooperative effort, and I know we've advanced that, and we will continue to do that. And whether Ed or Dave Colonna is the county executive next year, I know we'll have somebody who we can speak to who gets and understands how to put something together that's going to work in cooperation. We've had county executives in the past who refused to recognize where they came from, and not speaking out of turn, but when you have town government experience, you recognize that we're providing that frontline service, and it's so more critical now than ever because people don't have the money to go away on these vacations. They've got to keep the kids busy. They want to be able to just get some stress relief for themselves, and that's why I'm looking forward to the next year or so where we can finally address that issue.
And we have
And
a
you
mechanism.
brought up upstate counties
Yes.
have that mechanism in place.
They
where-
say
There is a
sales tax.
sharing.
We do not get 1 penny of sales
Not
tax.
1 penny. And
Correct.
people don't
But I
understand
have to
that.
tell you, the county should be looking to work with their towns, because if our park system, if the recreational activities we provide, if the senior activities that we provide are doing well, the county is doing
well, exactly.
We should be sharing that hotel motel tax with the towns, and then the towns feel good. We can start improving some of our facilities. We're making major capital improvements, but it would be
And I
so
think
much
that-
easier
and
if
Ed,
we
I
had
think
money.
your point to direct is the towns are better at running those types of operations. The
course.
county should be more global, and the county shouldn't try and recreate what's already existing within the scope of each of the towns and the geographic areas, and that's why the support is critical.
And when you talk
And
about
we all share the same thing, by the way. We all share beaches on Fire Island.
That's right.
exactly,
Now,
exactly, and
Brookhaven has the largest section of Fire Island that actually, if you're looking south from Oakdale, you're looking into Brookhaven. So we go well beyond our main island boundaries on Fire Island, but we all share, and it's such a popular place and such a variety of place. I mean, if you've families, at
Something
Davis
for
Park,
everybody.
Fire
Absolutely.
Island, Fire Island Pines, a little bit different,
Yep.
whatever. In fact, I'm going to their fire department dinner on Saturday night.
well,
Just
on
stopping
that
in.
note, we're going to, as you can tell, it's a very animated discussion today. We're really enjoying it, but we're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back with Supervisor Spotlight.
You are watching ITV, Channel 18, Islip Television.
Hi, this is Angie Carpenter. Welcome back to Supervisor Spotlight. And today we have with us Supervisor Rich Schaffer from the town of Babylon and Supervisor Ed Romaine from the largest town in the state of New York, the town of Brookhaven. Islip being the third largest in the state, and yours is pretty big too, Rich.
Yeah, we're a little behind. But
A little bit behind, but together we really comprise the majority of the population here in Suffolk County amongst our 3 towns, and again, all on the South Shore. We were talking a little bit about the park systems and everything, and the structure in Suffolk County is different from Nassau. Nassau has a lot of regional parks, ice skating, swimming complexes and everything. Those kinds of functions in Suffolk rest with the town. You know, we have, in the town of Islip, we have 3 golf courses, we have 3 swimming pools, one right now, Byron Lake, we're under a major reconstruction, $20 million project. That pool was built probably 50 years ago, hasn't been touched since. We redid Clemente Park and the pool there a couple of years ago. That was an $11 million project, and another 6 for the cleanup that took place there, unfortunately. But that pool's an Olympic-sized pool, spray park, skateboard park. It is an incredible facility. And these are the kinds of things that, you know, bring people to our island, keep people on our island, and let's not forget, in the town of Islip, we have an airport. So they're flying into Suffolk County through Islip Airport, and more are, as we're adding more and more flights. Breeze just announced last week they're flying to Pittsburgh, Portland, Maine, they're going to Raleigh-Durham, so they're going to destinations we haven't been to before, and people from those areas are coming here.
Yeah.
So
We have an airport in Brookhaven, but it's not
commercial.
commercial.
Right.
It's for the small
Right.
general aviation.
Yeah, we
And I
have
know
that
you have
too,
an
but-
airport, which is commercial, but it's not town-run.
Right,
Republic-
it's a state DOT.
But that's not really
State
commercial.
DOT.
It's all general aviation at
Correct.
Republic. We're the
Right.
only commercial.
Right, you're
you
the
know,
only
with,
commercial, which
you
is
know, Southwest.
big responsibility. And I'll tell you, I talk to people all the time, they would love to see more activity there.
We're working on
because
it.
no one wants to go into LaGuardia or Kennedy these days
Heck
with
no.
the wait lines
Right.
and everything else. They want to be able to park, walk there, and then short wait and get on a plane and fly. So whatever you could do to get more routes,
We're working on it.
and we're 100% behind you. I know there's a plan also to move the terminal to the north side of the airport, so it would be adjacent to the train station, the Ronkonkoma train
Right.
station, and you can take the train to the plane.
Right.
That's a very, very exciting project. We don't know if it's going to happen, but certainly there's an awful lot of support relocating the terminal to the north side where it should have been to begin
Years
with.
ago,
But I
yep.
don't know why, but I wasn't here. But adjacent to the railroad, and with that third track, and so many more people coming out from the city, you can get off the train, walk 1,800 feet, and be in the terminal.
Right.
So, I mean, that
Makes
is
total
exciting.
sense.
That's
And
a
part of
great
that-
possibility.
Part of that, and I know that you gentlemen are going to that tour over at Northwell.
Yes.
Because part of that project is the Life Sciences Center.
Yes.
And I can't wait for you to see what's going on there. It is absolutely mind-blowing to see the kinds of things that are happening, training our future generation
And
of
that's known
physicians.
as Midway Crossings.
Midway Crossings.
Midway Crossing,
Which as an
which-
association we've
And
supported.
we've
Yes,
right,
yes.
we've all supported Midway Crossing, and Northwell is becoming a big medical provider. I know Yaphank Meadows, which is a huge development that is being off Exit 68. Northwell is taking a couple 100,000 square feet and developing over there. I just went to the Southport Brewery, which opened there. You've got the Super Walmart there. You've got all the stores. You've got apartments. You've got condos being built there. You've got a hotel. You've got a tremendous little village springing up there in
But
Brookhaven.
these are the kinds of things that have to happen, and we in the town are so positioned to help make it happen because we all know we can't raise taxes.
No.
Nobody wants taxes going up, and nobody wants their services cut.
No.
They want more services. They want their roads paved and plowed and parks taken care of. And so what do? You have to have development.
Expand your base.
But it has
Expand
to
the
be
tax base, I mean-
sustainable,
Yes.
Yes.
appropriate, and that's where I know that these two gentlemen share that philosophy with me, that we talk to developers and we say to them, go into the community.
Right.
This has to be something that the community is comfortable with, the community embraces and even advocates for, and then you'll move forward.
Well, the whole economy is changing. I mean, in Brookhaven town, someone once said that geography is destiny. And that works in our favor because Brookhaven was slow to develop over the years because it's further east, but all of a sudden, we're getting all these proposals, and particularly for warehouses, because now people, the brick and mortar stores in downtowns are under a lot of pressure because you've got these people, you can go online and 24 hours later you have your product at your door.
Right.
And we had proposals for over 6 million square feet of warehousing.
Wow.
Now, they're not all going to get built because the town board is looking at them, but one developer alone is 2.5 million square feet, North Point Development, which is in Yaphank on the railroad, and they're developing it so that their products will be delivered by train, not by
Right.
truck.
And that's great. You know, whatever we can get
Well, that makes the
moving
most
by
sense.
rail, right, takes the pressure off our infrastructure. But, you know, it's really.
And we've got, and just so you know, we've got similar proposals where 97% developed, but the redeveloped parcels, the old Pinter Brothers property in Deer Park, 26 acres, a warehouse operation. Bristol's looking to carve out 100 acres at Pine Lawn Cemetery, do 9
right.
warehouses in an industrial park. So Ed's right on point with what we're seeing is that kind of transformation.
Shift in the economy and the economic base.
And how goods are delivered to the consumers.
And also, to your point, you know, we may not have the open space or the developable space that they have out in the town of Brookhaven, but there are many entities like in Islip, in central Islip, New York Tech, on Carlton Avenue, 87 acres, they pulled the college out of there.
Right.
And that was property that was off the tax rolls, and a developer came in, Steel Equities, partnering with the Marcus organization, and they bought those 87 acres. They're now on the tax rolls.
Right.
They took those 13 existing buildings that many years ago had been part of the Central Islip Psychiatric Hospital and redeveloped every single building. Nothing was demolished.
Which is great because those buildings were built
In the
walls
30s,
this thick.
Yes,
Right.
yes, exactly. Strong, and the
And
developer
historic,
saw that.
yes.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I said earlier, I tell the developer, go into the community, you know, get that support. They were going to tear down the buildings, went into the community and got the feeling and the input from the neighbors. They love how it looks. They like those old buildings.
Right.
So they
Yes.
came back with a totally different project.
Yeah, it's character too.
Yeah, it's very exciting. In fact, I believe they're up for a Green Award.
I thought the
for
county
fact.
missed the boat years ago because if they had built those buildings, that would have been a great county center.
Oh, absolutely.
Great county
absolutely.
center. That thinking goes back a ways, but it's still in the back of my mind.
Yep.
You never know. You never know. So with that, I have to say this has been just really tremendous having the both of you on and hearing about our neighboring towns and all of the exciting things that you're doing. So I'll give you each an opportunity to say a closing few words.
Yeah, just want to thank you for giving us the opportunity. I know our residents will enjoy hearing about all the things that are happening and appreciate you inviting us on today.
Oh, our pleasure. Our pleasure.
And
Ed?
I'm going to echo what Rich said. It has been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to work with you. You look at other supervisors and you try to learn from them, and I've learned so much from both you and from Rich that I try to incorporate into my operation in the town of Brookhaven.
Well, I'm very grateful for the partnership that I've enjoyed with the both of you. It's made me, you know, function better in my role. So with that, I would like to close. Thank all of you for watching and listening to Supervisor Spotlight.